How are we all? How is everyone? Welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday at short notice. Nadia had to go into loose. Not entirely sure we can say why, but I'm sure it'll become evident at some point. I hope you're all well. Hi, Sky Elise, Claire Ross Reed, Louise Garbain. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Michelle Main, Jenny Fay, Tony Dunsford, Sarah Fox, Sky, Sally Griffin, Della Nixon, Brenda McGee, Deborah Freeman, Someone Somewhere. Good morning, shiny people. Anne-Marie Franklin, Luce of London, Alice McMichael, Justine Fitzgerald, Ellen, Caitlin, it's Caitlin's birthday, is it? Happy birthday, Caitlin. Sophie, Avril McClure, Hazel Caldera, Salsa Trish, Linda Fissett, Melly, Mel, Tina Davis, Helen Groves, Xander Gibb. Good moaning. Good moaning, good moaning. Coffee moaning, or as our friend Lisa likes to call it, coffee moaning and groaning. Moaning and groaning about the world and everything that's going on in it. Catherine Boomer, morning Someone Somewhere, morning Mark, morning April Hill, Cora Bell. How are you? A long night. Yeah, it's been I've done a couple of interviews with the press this morning and another Zoom meeting. Yeah, so what time is it? 11 o'clock. Sophie, in Florida, there is a new transgender sports bill in which schools can inspect the genitals of students who may be transgender so that there are no trans girls playing in the girls' sports. Like what? That does sound incredibly intrusive and quite bizarre. Thank you for sharing that with us. Denise Drummond Mulvaney, good morning. Picnic today with your daughters, Bobby Ward. Fantastic, fantastic. Annie Dye is joining us at some point. Morning, Denise Nelson Gale. In Emma Lake, absolutely. Intrusive and safeguarding, yeah, exactly. How are we all? So it's Earth Day. It's Earth Day. World Earth Day. What do we think about Earth Day, guys? Is it something that registers on your calendar? Should it be more on our calendar? Are we doing enough? We did a little poll. I want to know, is climate change and discussions about it, have they sort of become a little bit sort of predictable and a bit weary, and do we all sort of feel that it's almost insurmountable, that we all want to do it? Don't get me wrong, we want to do it, but at times we can feel a little bit demotivated because it's very hard to see how one's tiny little contributions change, but they do, of course they do. What's your feelings on World Earth Day and these sorts of days? Sally Griffin, you think we're progressing? A happy birthday Earth Day, completely necessary. Catherine Boomer, what on earth? Save the planet or humanity. Absolutely. It's it's obviously important, and it's really key that all the right messaging comes out from governments around the world and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Ellen, that's a good point. Every day should be Earth Day. There is that fear. We've talked about this before, about things like mental health, that when you throw a spotlight for like a Blue Monday or a day, there's a danger that it gets looked at for that day and then forgotten about, or if not forgotten about, pushed to the margins. Whereas actually it needs to be upfront all the time, threaded through everything we talk about and do. And it's interesting. I think there's a mismatch here, because Earth Day is a moment where we need to think about how we can preserve the planet, preserve our resources, be more sort of self-sustaining, use renewables, all that kind of stuff. And yet, we're on the cusp of coming out of lockdown, where we are going to make use of everything that potentially makes climate change worse. We're going to make use of it so fearsomely and so aggressively because everyone's so desperate to get out. Do you know what I mean? So I think we have a bit of a, I think it'd be nice to see baked into some of the messaging at the moment, this a message to people of, don't go too far, too fast, too soon. What was that? Oh, it's a dog. Do you know what I mean? Don't go too fast, too far, too soon. Because not only is it not good for a lot of people's mental health, it's funny because a lot of people rushed out for a week of socialising and have kind of like tried to draw back a little bit because they've gone a little bit too fast, too soon. And I think that too fast, too soon message could be baked into Earth Day today. Do you know what I Sophie Watley, it's hard not to get disheartened and pessimistic. That's why I think it's really important to do your small changes. It keeps you motivated and thinking positively. I mean, I'm a keen recycler. I really want to keep, recycle far more than, and over the years I get more and more sort of fastidious about it, almost, sort of obsessive about it. Someone somewhere, until we address our consumption addiction, then we're just nibbling around the edges. You're absolutely right. And I think it's really interesting, someone somewhere, that you use the word addiction, because I think it is an addiction. I think we are culturally addicted to using and consuming and digesting and then throwing away. And I know, knowing how hard it is to give up an addiction, getting a whole, not just a country, but to get a whole sort of civilization to move in the same direction away from those addictions is very hard. And as an example, here's one example. I've always thought it's very easy for, say, countries like America and Europe to say to much poorer countries or developing countries, stop using things in that way because it's going to destroy the planet. When those countries could look to us and go, well, it's all right for you. You've completely exhausted the planet's resources to build your wealth, and now you're telling us not to. It's very hard, isn't it, to say, well, actually, if you carry on, things are going to get, it's very hard, isn't it? So I think we have to remember, please, Karen Fortune, and please, hope other people have received their cards. So anyway, so it's Earth Day, it's an important day. I think it's important that we all keep pushing the message out there. And yet at the same time, I think it's about keeping that message rolling, keeping it growing, and I think tying it into our own behaviour. So for example, how many people who are throwing litter around as they come out of lockdown are really thinking about the climate of the Earth? Not many. You drive past places like Tooting Bec and places like that, Crystal Palace Park, absolutely diabolical mess. And that's simply putting your stuff in a bag and taking it home and putting it in the bin or the recycling. Leah X. Animal agriculture is responsible for more damage than all of the modes of transports combined. Why are people still eating meat if they want a habitable planet to live on? I don't get it. Yeah. And, I think it's about moving in, I keep saying it's about moving in micro steps, but if we leave it too long, we're going to have to move in great big leaps and bounds, aren't we? Louise1174, I don't drive, but electric cars are really expensive, so I don't get how it would transpire to change. Surely making more cheaper electric cars and more affordable is a way forward. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Likewise, when you drive around London, there's barely any plugs. I mean, I know it is a plug for an electric car. There are no plugs to plug your car into. Not many, anyway. The amount of plastic that's in garden centres is terrible. Yeah, that's ironic. Always strikes me as ironic, the amount of plastic that comes with something that's planty and of the environment. Weird, isn't it? Golf carts. We could all drive in golf carts. Not enough fast charge outlets, exactly, Pauline. Especially when some leaders don't believe in climate change, also money that renewable energy costs a lot more, so poorer countries can't use it. Exactly. Solar panels cheaper for homes to install and should be put on all new homes. I want solar panels, but can't afford them. Absolutely. Gary C. Cooper. Moaning Mark. That's right, Gary C. Cooper. Moaning Mark. You're absolutely right. Because it's difficult, isn't it, to keep things going? It's difficult to keep yourself going. What else have we got here? I worry what we will do with all the batteries from the electric cars when they become defunct in the future. Yeah, that's true. What about all the technology that's going into all of the batteries and things like that? Absolutely. I agree. Shelley Moss, we should have glass bottles which you can take back to the shop for money like we did when I was younger. Get rid of plastic bottles. Entirely agree. Euphemia Ramona, I don't understand why we're still allowing houses to be built so badly, not having proper insulation, soundproofing and energy savings. Entirely agree. Kaz Stevens, tons of carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere, accelerating global warming. Lior, they need to make it widely known that a tiny percentage of plastic actually gets recycled. We need to use more alternatives. The onus, though, is on corporations and the government. Public can only do enough. Yeah, it's very true. There's only so much we can do. Good morning, Emma Carter. Hope you're well. Yeah, Claire Yardley, I was shocked how much pollution goes in making clothes. I'm trying to think more what I need than wants. Not sure if this can help. Yeah, I can't remember. I've read somewhere there's a sort of clothes recycling thing where you put your clothes into recycle and they refashion them into some new clothes. It's quite a nice idea. Was it something that Lisa, I think it might have been on Lisa Loves at the weekend. You take sort of old clothwear or cloth, material from something, and then they recycle it and refashion it into something else or upcycle it into some other item of clothing. You wouldn't be able to do that with my socks after Toffee's been with them. I mean, I get frustrated. Yeah, the amount of packaging is just ridiculous, isn't it? Brenda Tyrrell, it's shocking to see plastic that we thought was being recycled, but then it ends up in the ocean. Silkani, I buy biodegradable everything. So, I mean, I think we're all, yes, it was on Lisa Loves, wasn't it, Della? We're all on it and we all want to do it, but I think, maybe the government needs to get a little bit more draconian about it. You never know if I love op shots. Sorry, I don't know what an op shop is. We need to encourage resourcefulness, fixing things up instead of throwing them away. Absolutely. It's like a pair of jeans that gets a bit threadbare, turn them into a pair of shorts. Or offer an old dad shirt to your daughters, because apparently dad shirts are all the rage with daughters now. Apparently, they really want dad shirts. Or maybe that was about a year and a half ago. Hi, Andrea Jenner. Now, here's a weird one. Why does anyone think America, at this point, has closed travel down to the UK? I mean, I think it's kind of probably right, but it seems curious, doesn't it, at the point that we have quite a handle on it, that they have actively announced that they're closing maybe it's because we haven't closed our borders to India yet, maybe. Anyway, so the US is restricting travel between the US UK, so the idea of a sort of corridor between us and America, that's gone for this year. Spain is desperate for British tourists to arrive. I mean, Spain feels that they can cope. I think you're going to see a lot of the countries where their tourist economies, where their economies are based on tourism, really desperate to get certainly Brits abroad. And the reason they're desperate to get Brits abroad is because, of course, our vaccination program is so much more advanced than other people's. Connie H, if we all became vegetarian, there wouldn't be enough land to grow veg, which would also be environmentally unfriendly. Connie H. So what you're saying, Connie H, in a sense is, just tipping back to Earth Day for a minute, is overpopulation. Do we now have too many people making too much of a demand on the planet's resources? What do we do about that? That is a challenge and a half. Xander's going to the Costa del Brighton for his holes this year. Yeah, apparently something like 2 in 5 Brits have booked a staycation. International travel. So, international travel is the prospect of traveling is a struggle, isn't it? Heathrow has just stopped, Faith Goodman, extra flights that wanted to arrive from India before Friday. Thank God Heathrow took responsibility for that. I mean, it strikes me as bizarre that we're still waiting until 4 a.m. tomorrow. But thankfully, they've stopped that. Yeah, apparently there's no travel between the UK and the US. So yeah, that's good. Or is it good? Is it good? Is it all a too little, too late? Is it too little, too late? I'm slightly concerned it probably is. Gabrielle, I don't want to sound negative, but we just have to accept that holidays can't happen this year. It's just, I mean, I've been saying that from the get-go. Just forget the thought of a foreign travel for, okay, maybe it's been 2 years. But in order to get us to a safe place where foreign travel can happen more meaningfully, again, it goes back to this thing. Let's not forget, we're talking about Earth Day, and then we're talking about everyone desperate to get on flights. Do you see the contradiction? We have this really, we are addicted to consuming the planet. And I can feel Earth Day creaking at the hinges, kind of going, flipping heck, how do we hold this lot back? Staycation and enjoy your own country. Absolutely. So I think on Earth Day, for me, the messaging on Earth Day should be careful what you're hungry to do and hungry to eat. Careful how you want to consume the world again as we come out of lockdown. Because there's a very real risk, I think, that it's a little bit like stretching a bungee cord. So imagine you've stretched it all the way through lockdown, and as lockdown releases, boom, it's just going to go batshit crazy. Louise N, what about visiting family? My kids, grandparents and cousins are in France. Haven't seen them. My 2.5-year-old daughter is a different person since she saw them. I agree. Zoe also wants to get to Northern Ireland, sort of travel for families. Is there a way that some kind of exception could be found for that? But then would there be loopholes in that? I mean, I'm sure that the vast majority of people coming from India that we're wanting to not come from India because of the Indian variant are coming for familial reasons. That most of the reasons will be very justified and very real. It's not a case of people just being irresponsible. I recognise that. I do think it's almost like there should be a clear signal that foreign holidays just can't happen, and maybe we can find some way of vaccine passporting, people reuniting with their families. I mean, talking of India, India's second wave is really quite something. It's ravaging the country. In the last 24 hours, they've had more than 2,000 people die. I mean, let's just put this in perspective. Isn't the population of India, is it something like 1.5 billion? I mean, it's a massive population, say, compared to ours. And in a bad day, India have 2,000 people. Now, that's 2,000 people that they recognise have died. Obviously, that's not probably the full number. But in a population of their size, 2,000 was about what we were getting at our worst, wasn't it? That just gives us some perspective on the contrast. But they had 300,000 new cases reported yesterday. It still seems impossible, does it not, to get clarity on whether the Indian variant, there's a double-headed Indian variant, double mutation, and I have read a story somewhere today about a triple mutated variant. Are we getting any clarity on whether current vaccines work with it? I mean, there's a lot of vaccines being produced in India. Faith Goodman, Dr. John Campbell's graph is nearly vertical, showing how many cases and the increase. Are they having vaccines though? Well, this is the problem. What is their vaccine rollout? The situation in India is very worrying. It is. But here's the next question. I suppose when you look at that number of 2,000 deaths and you think, well, hang on a minute, their population is gazillions more than us. And we were at 2,000 at our worst. Do you remember when we were going through our regional peaks? And it felt like wherever this annoying virus hadn't been, there was always going to be a surge everywhere that hadn't had it yet at some point. When I try and calm myself about the Indian crisis, and that's not to diminish the awfulness of it and that these are individual people who are dying, is this the same thing writ large? Is this just another surge in a part of the world that hasn't yet had it run through its population? Is this the peak? And yes, it's terrible, but things can only get better, so to speak. We've been through these peaks ourselves, and then things calm down. So, I think it's about just moderating our fear and our worry. We need to take precaution, all these cautions, and, just got to be careful. But at the same time, is this just part of the normal narrative for everywhere that hasn't had it race through their population? Hit the thumbs up, guys, if you're the thumbs up icon just below my left nipple on my screen. Just hit the thumbs up icon. It'd be really nice if you did. If you're enjoying having a little chin wag with us. Now, so that's India's second wave. So we keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that, because it seems to be, unfortunately, the hotspot, as does South America still. But some light at the end of our tunnel in this country is the BRIT Awards. Now, why are we talking about the BRIT Awards? The BRIT Awards are going to have a live audience. And this is massive news. For the snooker championships, they had an audience. There've been no positive cases from it. So, these little tests of live audiences are yielding nice results, and they could be significantly, they could change our lives significantly in terms of, the sort of entertainment sector and all this kind of stuff. So the BRIT Awards is going to go ahead with a live audience next month as part of the government's research into how live events can work after the pandemic. It's taking place at the O2 Arena. There's going to be a 4,000 strong audience. Now that's quite something, 4,000 strong in a capacity. What's the full capacity of the O2 Arena? Is it about 60,000 or something like that? Just have a look. Oh yeah, no, we're not buffering, Mandy Dennis. Sorry, it must be your end. 4,000 you feel is too many, Skyleys. I think in that space, it's quite a big space. It's quite a big space. So I'm wondering whether it might be okay. You know, it'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see. Will they all be tested? How will they get there safely? Well, yeah, we need to hear how it goes. But fingers crossed, if it works, 20,000 capacity, I think it's more than that, isn't it? The O2, am I thinking of the O2 Arena? Yeah, not too sure. I think this sort of thing is good news. This is us moving towards, the scheme is also including a Liverpool nightclub that will host 3,000 people per night for a couple of nights, and a 5,000 capacity gig in the city on the 2nd of May. The O2, oh yeah, you're right, the O2 has a capacity of roughly 20,000, but only 4,000 will be at the Brits. So that's kind of, you know, a fifth of the normal population. A fifth of the normal capacity, sorry. So I think, you know, and if that works, then potentially, you know, I mean, we were in the car the other day and she said, oh, festivals aren't happening. So many festivals thought they were happening and they weren't. And, you know, it's frustrating. We've got to have some hope somewhere. And I think as long as we close off our borders, look after ourselves, we can start to engender the internal economy. Do you know what I mean? That's what we need. That's what we want. What do you think, guys? Is it too much too soon going for 4,000 capacity at the Brits? Do you not think these are, or do you think these are really important tests that need to be done in order to be able to step forward sensibly? Sarah Fox, they'll all be tested similarly to the crowd at the Crucible, which was the snooker championships, yeah. Positive results are coming in already, says Claire Ross Reed. Greece is going on tour with Peter Andre. Wow, okay. Not my cup of tea, but yeah, no, that sounds good. It's got to be done, says Jackie Valino. Yeah. Faye Gargaro, 4,000 is about the same as some schools, so I don't see why it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I agree. Morning, Miss One Trisha. Yeah, another green-fingered hell is coming soon. Tim Reed, you feel 50-50 about it? Yeah. As long as it's done properly. Karen Bennett, at least it's a start if they've got all vaccinated and social distance to get the party started. I think that's an important sentence there, Catherine Boomer. Let's get the party started. Now then, let's have a little bit of nostalgia, shall we? A little bit of nostalgia for the landline. Bit of a binary question. Who still has, a landline phone? Who has a landline phone anymore? Because they're becoming a sort of thing of the past. I mean, more and more people, more and more younger people, when I think of all my girls, but certainly my eldest, Fleur and Izzy, they don't have a landline, they just go with their mobiles. Yeah, no, okay, half and half. Sort of an unnecessary commitment, isn't it? And an unnecessary expense. And then you get unnecessary phone calls. We have a landline, yeah. Good for the youth. I only phone one person on it, my mum, Jacqueline Clement. Landline for the internet. Yeah, you have to have a landline, don't you, in order to have broadband and all that kind of stuff, absolutely. Tony Dunsford, no. Nicola S, no. Mandy Dennis, no. Only have one for broadband. Landline for the internet. Yeah, so landlines have become a thing of the past, but who remembers the British Telecom adverts with Maureen Lipman? Do you remember? He's got an ology. Do you remember those, or are you too young for that? You know, I mean, for me, when I was a child, when I was a teenager, trying to phone my first girlfriend was about having the longest cable. Do you remember? That's what a mobile phone was when I was young. It's the longest cable that went all the way to the front room. And I remember when I was down at my grandparents', my grandfather would get so annoyed because he was so sort of fastidious about where the landline phone was put, which way it was hung. Remember Busby, Karen Rogers, yes, Busby. That I would want to take the phone into the hall to phone my girlfriend. So there was no privacy, because I have to be whispering in the hall. But he'd get really annoyed about me taking the phone out there. And the lead was only that long. Do you remember Busby? Yeah, that came before Maureen Lipman. The Yellow Pages. Who remember? Now, I read somewhere that British Telecom was selling off their red telephone boxes for £1 each. I thought, I want one of those for £1. That's an absolute steal. Then you go online, and of course they're selling for about 4,500. Because I think the reason British Telecom are selling them for £1 is you have to pay to get a bulldozer in to dig it out of the ground and remove it. I'd quite like a telephone box though, if it was £1, obviously. But do you remember telephone boxes? And I thought it made me think landlines, extension cords to the landline. Hands-free, that was an exciting thing. A phone that was on the wall, that was the height of modern fashion, wasn't it? I remember going to someone's house and they had a phone on the wall, a flat phone on the wall. That was so weird. That was so weird. Do you remember those? I remember at one point, says Jodie O'Rourke, we couldn't afford a landline, so I would have to go to the telephone box to ring my mates to arrange my meeting. Who remembers the pips in a phone box? You'd be jamming those 2 pences in, and as you jam those 2 pences in, it'd be like beep, 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 beep. And then back in those days, I mean, obviously, our tolerance for urine-soaked telephone boxes must have been much higher because there was little choice. You would reverse the charges, Alison ring, and then sometimes I remember being somewhere, I don't know where I phoned someone and I needed them to ring back, and then this telephone box starts ringing in the middle of the. Has anyone had that where you used to pass a phone box and it would start ringing? Oh, that was a bit creepy, wasn't it? Bit creepy. And then you'd go, I'm sure I went in and then I answered it. And then you used to have the Yellow Pages. Do you remember? You used to have that part of the telephone box where the books would come up and you'd go through them. And what were we looking for in them? The key locks on the phone? No, I don't remember that. I think I did answer it. I don't know who it was, like the movie Phone Booth with Colin Farrell. Absolutely, Reese. The speaking clock. Yeah. We used to ring the phone box from our house for a laugh. Yeah, you see. We got the landline and I just rang the Scottish Snow Line. I live in Southampton. Numbers. We just ring numbers. Do you remember the BT phone card? God, yes, the BT phone card. I remember that. Yeah, having a row in a telephone booth. Fitting as many of your friends into a telephone booth. What's happened to those good old days of a phone box? Yeah. Used to answer the landline by saying the number. My granddad used to do that. People would pick up the phone, goes 719, 71719, 717119. Hello, 02450. Yeah, I mean, I always aspired to get to a point. I knew I would have arrived as an adult if I picked up the phone and said 044329551, 044235591. I remembered the phone number of mine and my mum's first flat, 01221 0012. Boom. Boom, there's Nanny Di in the back confirming thus. Say hi, Mum.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, she's got a class. She's going to go and pump some ass. Sorry.
I hope not, Mum.
Nanny Di looked horrified at the prospect of that. Come and say hello.
Okay.
Come and say hello to everyone. She's about to go in there and do some... What are you going to do, Mum?
I'm certainly not going to pump any ass. Hello, everyone. How are you? Thanks to everyone who sent me lovely messages.
Oh, yes, you got your Dropbox message, didn't you?
Is that what it's called, a
yeah,
Dropbox?
It was kind of like... I think it's called a Dropbox.
Oh, it's very, so sweet, so sweet.
Oh, look, everyone's saying good morning. Everyone's
Good
saying
morning.
hello.
It's going to take me years to get a new door, but this is just...
Oh.
I ought to do a series called The Vicissitudes of Diane's Flat.
Yeah.
Nanny Di's flat.
Yeah, you should.
We've had flood, we've had theft, we've had...
Do you remember that time in the vlog when you were spitting bile about doors? Do you remember?
I do
furious
vaguely, yeah.
about doors.
Maybe that's what paying me back now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe.
Because he's going to leave me for about the next year with
Tell
all these
everyone,
locks all over.
oh, that's it. Tell everyone what you thought of Mayor of Easttown.
Oh yeah, very good, guys.
Kate Winslet,
The
she really
first
liked it.
episode. Yeah.
And we're going to be watching Promising Young Woman tonight, and we'll be reviewing it probably tomorrow or over the weekend at some point. Is it your book this weekend, or is it? No, it's mine. Oh Christ!
You can see I have got one. If you
Fantastic! Oh, good.
Mayor of East Street. Yeah, it's a bit like those of you who remember Fargo and that sort of nice, sort of small town America with lots of yeah, things. Kate's
Winslet.
absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, Nadia's always like, what do you think of Kate Winslet? And I was like, I always had a secret crush on her, actually.
Yeah, I think a lot of men do.
Yeah, I did, yeah. My ex-girlfriend knew her ex-husband really well. I don't know if there's something in why they're all exes now, I don't know. Anyway, it's crap. I watched it yesterday, said Helen Groves. It's not crap, it's brilliant. Sorry, Helen Groves. Mayor of Easttown.
Oh, Mayor of Easttown.
See, we just I mean, I'm not gonna resurrect the Line of Duty thing, but I'd much rather watch Mayor of Easttown, put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, go on then. Are you going to go and do your thing? Or
I'm going to go and get it ready.
Oh, bless you.
Bye.
You're going to hear lots of little...
Ooh, hey. You reading Patricia Dog?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Pre-Staddy, she wrote, didn't she, before?
Yeah.
Santa, you nutter. Have you watched Young Wallander? My niece stars in it on Netflix. No, we will watch Young Wallander. Emma Lake. Sophie, America's cases are going to be high. Protests are occurring again in Columbus due to that young black girl being shot by the officer when she was the one who called for help. American police are shocking. I know. It's just the beginning. It's the beginning. Habiba Duval, you haven't done the investigation groundwork to get Line of Duty. You can't just wade in late. Habiba, that's precisely why we didn't review any more. We were responsible. It didn't float our boat. We recognised we needed to have invested. We haven't got time to, so we didn't. So there we go. We've moved on. But got to go. Lorraine Owen, we've got to go too. I've got to go. So look, guys, hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed our natter. Was there something else? BRIT Awards, end of the landline, or end of the line for the landline? Is it the end of the line for the landline? But there was a really sweet and finally story. Do you remember, does anyone else remember News at 10 when they used to do and finally? Here's a photo of a baby. I just want to show you. Remarkable image of a baby that was born with so much hair. It's ludicrous. Kiki was born with loads of hair, actually. What's the story here? Miracle baby born after 8 miscarriages has hair so thick she's mistaken for a toddler. Just check this. Well, actually, I don't know if you can see on that because the reflection is... It's a full head of hair. Check this out. Look at that. Look, it's Nadia. It's Nadia. Look, it's like a baby Nadia looking at us. So funny. Kiki was born with huge amount of hair. There was just hair. When we did the ultrasound, you could see it just waving like a mermaid's hair. And Maddie, when she was in the womb, when the camera came round to do the scan or whatever it was of her, she waved. A life in front of the camera was born. Guys, have a lovely, lovely day. Stay safe, San Diego. And if you can, whenever it strikes you that you've got a moment, do a downward dog, just for the hell of it. Because I tell you what, there's nothing like looking at the world upside down through your legs. Really, there isn't. It helps me every time. It helps me every time. I have said repeatedly that the mental health chat will be coming, and it will be coming tonight. I'll be dropping the bit of some reflections and thoughts on return anxiety. Return anxiety. I'm going to pop something on the community tab for you to share with me. Return anxiety. Community. Group hug. Oh, look, Nanny Di's got, come and show the subs. Nanny Di's got a cap on.
Look at me and my boy together.
Oh, look at that, Mum. Hey, we look like American tourists.
Yeah, hiya.
Hey. All right, guys. That's the baby born with the most hair. It's baby Nadia, isn't it? Isn't she cute? Is it alive? It might not be alive, but it might be alive. I don't know, but I'll post about it on the community tab. Depends what kind of a mental state I'm in. Okay, guys, lots of love. Have a really good, safe day and enjoy the sun safely. All right? Take care. Bye.